Okay, so what I wanted to say, to talk about, like I said, is dreams and energy. And these are both things that I've been learning while reading High Performance Habits, this book here, and also listening to the author's podcast, Brenda Burchard. And I really, really love this because he works with athletes and successful business people, CEOs and all that stuff. And I like how he always compares the two um, because they pretty much have the same approach to how they handle their business, handle their life, personal life, and their career. I guess I should say not the business, but their career. And what's even more amazing is that us as coaches, as health and fitness coaches, we kind of fall into two categories. I mean, we're not professional athletes, but we're working with health and fitness. And health and fitness is so interconnected and intertwined with being successful in life. Because as I had heard, I think it was Ronda Rousey saying once that fitness is a metaphor for life. Because when you don't think you can go any longer, then you just have to find something in you to keep going. And that's why, coaching makes so much sense and I love it. But so basically, one of the things that he says when talking about dreams and what really makes me, look back into when I started coaching and when I started asking myself questions and also being extremely grateful for the coaching opportunity, because before this, I didn't used to ask myself so many questions. And I think we lose so much out of life if we're not constantly analyzing what we're doing. If we're just going through the motions, we really aren't living. And coaching kind of forces you to be asking yourself, what am I doing? What do I want to do? What do I want my life to look like tomorrow, next month, 5 years from now? It kind of, because of the business, it makes you ask yourself these questions. And as you're doing the fitness programs too, you're not just starting something for the heck of it. You want to accomplish something, but what do you want to accomplish? You have to ask yourself these questions. And I think the majority of people in the world don't ask themselves these questions. They just go and keep doing stuff and they don't know where it's going to lead them. And it's like, whatever, YOLO, carpe diem. But really, you have to have a game plan, because whether you believe in afterlife or not, the way you are right now is not going to be forever, period. Today is never coming back. So when you decide to be more intentional about the things that you do daily, everything can change, because what you do right now is going to affect tomorrow, is going to affect next week, next month, next year, and all of that. So, when you start coaching and you get asked, what's your why? What are your goals? What's your vision for the future? I used to get really annoyed at that. And I don't know if it's just me, but it's because we're not used to asking ourselves these questions. And it's like, whatever, I just want to make money, whatever, I just want to be fit, But if you don't ask yourself these questions, and if you don't know your why, you are not going to have enough strength, enough energy, enough reason to pursue anything in life. Again, you're just going to be going through the motions and seeing where life takes you. And that's no way to live, my friends, because you're just, leaving your life to chance. Who wants to do that, right? Don't you want to be in control of your life? And I mean, there are things you cannot control, and that's for another team call, letting go of the things you can't control, recognizing that you're not in control of other people and all that, but you are in control of your thoughts and you're in control of your feelings, period. So when talking about dreams, one of the things that he says is like, before you even identify what your dream is, what one of your biggest dreams are, I want you to think about some other dream that you have already accomplished. And sometimes we think, I can't do this other one that I'm focusing on right now. I don't know what that was. I think it's a washing machine. I am not going to be able to, or I am afraid, or people live in autopilot. So I'm afraid I'm not going to do this, or whatever it is that is stopping us from reaching what we're looking for. Look back at what you have already done. I think we sell ourselves short and we kind of undermine our own power and our capabilities. And again, because we don't think about stuff, we're in autopilot. But reflect on the things you have already accomplished in your life. And it doesn't have to be, climbing Mount Everest. there are things that might look small, but they're huge accomplishments. Like even going through teenagehood, dude, that was tough. We made it, you know? If you're a mom, going through pregnancy, giving birth, surviving those first 6 months, that's tough. You've made it. You know, I mean, just the fact, I also always like to think about like because it took me kind of, you know, it was a hard process for me to get pregnant. The odds that are in place when life comes into the world, like the little details that it takes for someone to be conceived. That one baby, that made it is a rock star, is a survivor already. So, I mean, that in itself makes us survivors and amazing people. You're here, you made it, right? Everything that needed to be in place for you to be conceived that day happened. So you're already, you know, victorious in that sense. And then think about other things that you have accomplished, you know, like thinking about me finishing college, getting a job, keeping my job, you know, not trying to compare yourself with others, but think about the achievements that you have made, that put yourself a step further in life, you know, buying a house. What is it? What are some of the dreams that you have accomplished? Maybe they weren't super huge, but you accomplished something. And that should already give you an extra ounce of strength to know, yeah, I can do this other dream that I'm looking for, you know, that I'm dreaming about, because I've already done hard things in life. So if this looks hard, then I can do it too. And another thing too, when, you know, before I guess while you're identifying your dream is this dream that you have right now, have you made it a necessity for you? Because if you haven't made it something that you actually need, you are not going to do what it takes to get there. And what I mean by that is going back to your why. And I'm going to share how this has changed for me with time, because like I said, I got really annoyed in the beginning. What's your why? What's your why? What's your dream? You know, when, you know, I would get asked that as I started coaching. And I would just answer the basics. I want to do this for my family. I want to make extra money to help with our income. And those are, you know, that's fine and dandy. And that's great. But I don't really think those were enough for me to keep going. And ever since like October of last year, starting October of last year, and pretty much until now in April, until April, 3 days ago, I kind of took a step back into coaching because it started affecting my relationship with my husband and all of that. And one of the reasons I can see it now is that my why wasn't very strong, or I hadn't identified my why enough. I didn't dig deep enough to find my reason. I didn't make this thing, coaching that is, as necessary as it should have been for me to keep going. Because, you know, for the most part, when I first started, I was just wanting to keep myself accountable. I wasn't going to make a business. And then when I decided to make this a business was because I was seeing other coaches that had signed up at the same time as I did, having great success. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try this. And one of these coaches who actually quit afterwards, and I kept going, said, but what are your goals with this? Are you all in? Because I'm all in. I'm going to quit my job next year. She ended up quitting coaching. But when she asked me that, I was like, you know what? I can do this too. And it was kind of like in a competitive way for me. I can recognize that, and I can say that it was more like, I want to be recognized. I want people to see that I am advancing. I want, you know, all the accolade and all of that. But that in itself was not strong enough to keep me going. And I feel like after analyzing all of this and after asking myself these questions and digging deeper with personal development, I have realized that I was afraid of being honest with myself. And I think that's something that people struggle with, period. We don't know who we are because we don't ask questions. And we are afraid of showing the world who we are because we're not asking ourselves these questions, because we don't know who we are. You know what I mean? Like, What if they don't like who I am, but you don't even know who you are? How are you going to, put thoughts in people's heads that they're not going to like you already? And then afterwards you learn that who cares if they don't like me? But in those first stages. And then and now I've been saying this a lot. You might have heard me saying it before. I realized that it's okay that I'm doing this for me, that I don't have to say that I'm doing this for my kids. Ultimately, they're going to be positively affected. But I'm okay with saying that I'm doing this for me because I want to be successful, because I can do anything. And it's not selfish for me to invest in my health, because I am actually helping other people and in turn helping my own relationships by starting with improving the relationship I have with myself, by believing more in myself. So when I kind of got to this conclusion, I realized that coaching became a bigger necessity in my life. And that's more reason for me to keep going and to not give up and to actually be more successful. When I created this necessity in my life, like if you had to rate, how much do you want coaching to work for you? If that's your dream, right? Or if you think my dream is X, how much do you want this to work for you? And on a scale of 1 to 5, is it a 1 or 2? Like if it doesn't work, that's okay. And again, when you're doing something, already having a plan B, if it doesn't work, you're already not succeeding, period, right? You have to think of it as, I'm going to make this work, and then find your reason why, and not have a plan B. I'm just going to do it. Because when you have a plan B, you're already assuming you're going to fail. And then this goes into the whole energy thing that I have been learning too with this book, about being positive thoughts and turning, negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And I've always thought of myself as a very positive person, but I'm realizing now, especially with this whole thing of, wanting to be successful and wanting to move forward and all of that, that just being positive, quote unquote, is not enough. You have to be mindful of all of your thoughts and all of your feelings throughout the day. It's not just, peace and love, I can do this, or even repeating affirmations to yourself all day long, which is very good thing, good practice. But what I feel like has been helping me a lot more in being mindful of my thoughts and feelings is actually paying closer attention to my negative thoughts. Because usually you're like, when you think something negative and you're trying to practice being positive, you're like, ooh, I can think that. And then you just dismiss it and you try to replace it with something else. But what if instead you try to write down all of your fears? Try to write down all of the negative things that you say to yourself internally, like, this is too hard. I can't do this. I'm never going to succeed. I don't even know what tomorrow is going to look like. Whatever you think that is negative, instead of dismissing it, why don't you write it down and acknowledge it? So the next time that happens, you're going to identify it a lot easier and be able to turn it around instead of dismissing it fast, or, paying closer attention to what you're saying to yourself. Again, things that we don't usually do, like asking ourselves questions. Pay attention to your thoughts, and most importantly to your negative thoughts, because that's your lead into why you're not achieving your dream, is asking yourself these questions and paying closer attention to what's separating you from this dream. And we all know what separates us from achieving anything is our mind, right? So when you're thinking these thoughts and they're negative, pay closer attention to them so that you can be like, wow, so I really think that I can't do this, right? If you pay closer attention to this, if that's one of the thoughts that you say, or if you're thinking someone else is limiting you, or you're afraid of somebody else, or, or someone is very negative in your life and you're kind of blaming you not reaching your goals because of that person. If you pay closer attention to your thoughts, you're going to be able to pinpoint what is the source of the thing that's keeping you from achieving your goals. I guess that's what I wanted to say. And then going back to what he says in the book about athletes and energy, he always talks about how his athlete clients mentioned something about, but right before they go into a game or whatever it is that they're performing, they need to get in the zone. Do you know this? I mean, do you pay close attention to athletes? Like if you're watching football or any other sports, like they have some kind of ritual or something that they do right before they go into the game, because it's all mental, since they are extremely prepared physically for that, right? So of course there's lots of things in play, because if you think about a team, there's many people involved. It's not just one person that's going to win a game or whatever, but their performance that day is going to be highly affected by the way they're feeling. And so whatever it is that they do beforehand is going to play a part in that. And that's another thing too. He talks about taking a second before you transition into a different activity to close your eyes and be in the moment, because that will help you be more intentional about what you're doing. And just like we're always talking about, oh, you need to be intentional with your posts and with what you're putting out there on social media, how about being more intentional with what you do offline? That's even more important, because that's going to come out in your social media posts. You know, if you're more intentional about your thoughts, your feelings, your relationships, every single thing that you do, if you decide what energy you're going to bring when you're around your kids, when you're around your husband, when you're talking to a friend, that is going to set the tone for everything you do. And one thing that he says is that sometimes people talk about, oh, I don't have energy. And he says, we generate energy within ourselves. Sometimes when we are, what is the sentence that he says here? I'm trying to find. When people want the edge, often the first place they look is outside themselves. When really everything that we need is inside ourselves. We just need to be the one making the decision to generate what we want. Is it positive thoughts? Is it positive emotions? Is it success? It's all within you. You're the one deciding. So having the revelation that you're in control of all of this is amazing. But acting upon it is where it's really at. So, wow, I can be in control of my thoughts. That's amazing. Most people don't realize that. They just live, miserable. Then you realize, whoa, so I have control over myself. How do you get there? And it's by creating these different habits of identifying your negative thoughts, replacing it by positive thoughts. And he says energy, which is something that he says low energy hurts your ability to reach high performance. It pervades all aspects of your life. You feel less happy. You don't take on the big challenges. You feel as if everyone is passing you by. Your confidence tanks. You eat worse. You get fatter. You struggle to get people to believe in you, buy from you, follow you, support you. It all begins with you. Why are people not buying from you? Why are people not interested in you? Because you are not putting something out there that is going to attract them. That's it. And that's why I love so much what we're trying to do here with the trainings and all of this, because we're taught to be focusing so much on going after people. But the reality is, if we're putting something X out there, then that's what's going to attract them to us. And that's what we want. We want people to be attracted to what we have to offer, but we need to know how to put that out there. And creating this positive energy is what is going to show, because confidence is so sexy and so attractive because nobody has it. People want what they don't have. So if you become super confident in yourself and you show that, and usually is putting yourself out there, doing things that nobody does, they're going to be like, whoa, this chick's kind of strange, but I like her. Why is she strange? Because she's being herself. No one is themselves these days, So when you decide to take this step, ask yourself these questions and put yourself out there, people are going to notice that you're doing something different, because most people don't do that. They hide behind some kind of persona that they create for themselves. Whereas if you don't create, but you embrace who you really are and put yourself out there with positivity in all of this, people are going to notice and they're going to come to you. Let's see. I just wanted to say something else. Oh, this is perfect. And I think I'm going to end here. Your energy is not a fixed mental, physical, or emotional state. Again, you don't have energy any more than a power plant does. A power plant transforms and transmits energy. In the same regard, you don't have happiness. Rather, You transform your thoughts into feelings that are not happy. You don't have to have sadness. You can transform it into something else. This means you don't have to wait for joy, motivation, love, excitement, or any other positive emotion in life. You can choose to generate it on demand, anytime you want, through the power of habit. And I will close with that. So drop the mic. Just like you tell people you have to keep doing the exercises so that your body's going to change. You have to keep eating healthy so that your body changes. You have to create these habits. Ladies, as coaches, we need to create the habit of being positive, of, loving ourselves, being ourselves. These are all habits, and they're all going to come as we keep doing them. So, right. So I just saw that you read, if you don't believe the affirmations, then it won't take effect. That's right. So, and that's why I feel like focusing on the negative ones to identify them is so important, because then you know the root of the problem and all of that. So, all right, hope this was motivational, because I've been motivated.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. So you can do anything. You just have to decide if you really, really want it, first and foremost. Make sure your reason for wanting it is strong enough to get you there, and just start taking the steps, show up, be consistent, and it's all going to happen.
Amen to that.
All right. Let me.
Oh, great.